Welcome to Chicago on a humid 83-degree afternoon. From the north side, it's the second of a three-game series at Wrigley Field. The Chicago Cubs and the first-place Atlanta Braves, who lead the Phillies in the NL East by 2.5 games. Good afternoon, everybody. Kenny Albert along with Tim McCarver. We welcome you to Fox Saturday Baseball, a 5-3 victory in the series opener for the Braves yesterday. Will this be a season of destiny for Atlanta? Bobby Cox's final season at the helm, and another win for Atlanta in their final at-bat, Tim.
22 wins in their final at-bat. That leads the major leagues. In what bizarre fashion they did it yesterday. Carlos Marmol comes in with a one-run lead in the top of the ninth inning. He walks 3, strikes out 2 before this happened with Rick Ankiel, the batter, 2-2 on Rick, and he triples to the right field corner, cleaning the bases. And then Marmol struck out the last batter, so his line from yesterday, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 1 hit, 3 runs scored.
8th consecutive loss here at home for the Cubs, and a strange sight as Derek Lee made his Atlanta Braves debut here at Wrigley after spending the last 6.5 seasons as the first baseman here in Chicago. Well, the Braves have not been to the postseason the last 4 years. They hope to get back. 2.5 game lead in the NL East. It's the Braves and the Cubs coming up on Fox. Degrees and sunny here at Wrigley Field as we get set for the Braves and the Cubs. Today's game is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of the first inning, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. Atlanta Braves, first place in the NL East, record of 72-50. Their batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Omar Infante leads off, followed by rookie right fielder Jason Hayward. Martin Prado hits third. Derek Lee in the cleanup spot, his second game as a member of the Braves. Then Matt Diaz, the left fielder, shortstop. Alex Gonzalez bats sixth. Bottom of the order, catcher David Ross, center fielder Rick Ankiel, and pitcher Tommy Hansen as the Braves get set to face 28-year-old left-hander Tom Gorzelati, the former Pittsburgh Pirate. Won a career-high 14 games back in 2007 with Pittsburgh. Record of 6-7 for the Cubs this year, Tim.
Yeah, and because of that tease of winning 14 back in 07, his stuff and his record really don't jive. He's got better stuff than his record indicates. And, folks, I know you've seen this before. I know you've heard it before, but he must stay ahead to be effective.
Gorzelati grew up in Illinois. He was a White Sox fan. Drafted in the second round by the Pirates back in 03. And he will face Infante, Hayward, and Prado here in the top of the first inning.
White Sox rained out last night. They play a Twi-Nighter in Kansas City starting at 6:10 Central Time this evening.
First pitch to Infante, inside ball one. White Sox 4.5 behind the first place Twins in the American League Central. One and one on Infante, working on a 9-game hitting streak. He had 2 hits yesterday, drove in a run. A sizzling 16 for 37 during this recent stretch. 1-1 on the ground to the shortstop, Starlin Castro, and the 20-year-old fires across to Xavier Nady for out number 1. As Jason Hayward steps to the plate, we check out our Sprint player first. Jason homered in his first career at bat, first career swing.
3-run home run.
He headed off Carlos Zambrano of the Cubs back on April 5th in Atlanta. What a feeling.
Oh,
boy. He was named the National League Rookie of the Month in April, again in May. Elected as an all-star starter, although he missed the game due to injury.
Due to a jammed left thumb. It shouldn't bother him really when he is swinging, because the left thumb for a left-handed batter is the least important.
Came off the disabled list on July 15th. He's driven in 53 runs for the Braves this year. Full count.
Reason for that, when you think about it, if it were your right thumb and you're a left-handed batter, you have to roll those hands over on that thumb. So a lot more annoying than it is when your left thumb is giving you problems.
Base hit into right center. So the Braves have a one-out base runner here in the first. Hayward on at first. In steps the man who has been referred to by his manager as the Braves' most valuable player this season.
Well, he has just been terrific. Second in the National League in hitting. He's second to Joey Votto of the Cincinnati Reds, trailing Joey by only a point. Think about this. In the National League this year, there are only 9 hitters qualified for the batting title that are hitting over 300. 9.
Martin leads the league in hits with 144. He spent some time on the disabled list recently due to a fractured pinky. Missed 16 games. Activated on Tuesday with Derek Lee waiting on deck. 1 on, 1 out. Here in the top of the first inning at Wrigley. Hayward takes his lead off first. Gorzelati catches the outside corner, 1-1.
Martin Prado efficient at second base or third base. In fact, Bobby Cox telling us that Prado and Infante really interchangeable at second and third. Can play either position, both of them.
They told us Prado Can also play left field, has a terrific arm. Bobby Cox gave him his choice between second and third. Prado chose third. Chipper Jones on the disabled list. Braves continue to roll. They've won 7 of 9 since Chipper suffered the injury, which forced him out for the remainder of this season. 1-2. Fastball high and tight. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Again throws over the first. Hayward with 9 steals this year. He's been caught 5 times.
Look for Hayward to run right here. 3-2, 1 out. And, of course, when you're running on a 3-2 count, it's like any hit and run play. You must make sure the pitcher throws home. Inexcusable to get picked off in a situation like this.
There he goes. And the question is, a bit of a late single, but it is ball 4.
Well, the one thing you want the home plate umpire to do is to give you a quick call if you're the catcher. That will prevent a catcher making an unnecessary throw. Keep in mind that that ball is alive with Derek Lee up.
Time Cub receives a standing ovation in the first inning. Huge ovation yesterday when he came to bat. Ryan Dempster, his longtime teammate and good friend, stepped off the mound. Lee 0 for 4 in his Braves debut yesterday.
Enormously popular wherever he's played. He is just an elegant man, an elegant speaker, eloquent speaker. He reeks of class.
The 0-1, well hit, deep left field. Colvin under it, and he makes the catch at the edge of the warning track for out number 2. Our Ken Rosenthal spoke with Derek Lee earlier today and asked Derek his reaction to yesterday's standing ovation here at Wrigley.
That was special. That's something I'll never forget. You hope you're going to get a good response, but you're not sure. And when you get it, it just felt really good. I didn't really know how to react, but it felt really good, and it's something, like I said, I'll never forget.
Last time Derek Lee dressed in the visitors clubhouse here at Wrigley during the postseason back in 2003 with the Florida Marlins.
A horrible postseason for the Chicago Cubs. Unfortunate memories.
And then Lee became a Cub the next season in 04. 2 on, 2 out. Hayward the runner on second. Prado over at first. 1-0 to Matt Diaz, now 1-1.
That caught a piece of Coy Hill, the catcher. Coy is the regular catcher for the Chicago Cubs because Giovanni Soto had problems. That hit the bottom, the heel of his left hand, it appeared. Soto on the disabled list with a strained shoulder.
Eligible to return tomorrow. Orsolani missing inside, now 2-1. Diaz batting just .236. Alex Gonzalez waiting on deck should Diaz reach. Hayward a 1-out single. Votto walked on a 3-2 pitch. Lee flied out to left. And now the 2-1 from Gorzolani. Missing low and away. Ball 3, 3-1.
Good hitters count right here. At Diaz looking for a fastball to drive.
Drives it into right. Right into the glove of Fukudome. One hit, a walk, Braves strand 2 in the first. Think outside the bun. Kosuke Fukudome, the right fielder, leads off, followed by rookie shortstop Starlin Castro. All-star Marlon Byrd hits third. Aramis Ramirez in the cleanup spot. Then left fielder Tyler Colvin. Xavier Nady bats sixth. Then Blake DeWitt, catcher Coy Hill, and the pitcher Tom Gorzolani. As the Cubs face 23-year-old right-hander Tommy Hanson for the second time this season. Hanson started the year 7-3, just 1-5 since. And you want to talk about a hard luck pitcher, Tim? He has gotten absolutely no run support as of late.
His last 5 starts, his earned run average hovering around 1. And so Tommy probably saying, my kingdom for a run. And the move on the rubber has helped. He has moved from the first base side to the middle of the rubber, and that's where he toils as we speak. But it's been very, very successful for him.
First pitch to Fukudome is a base hit into left field. Diaz had trouble with it. And Fukudome slides safely into second base.
Let's see how that's going to be scored. I think Fukudome makes it. Had Diaz not bobble this ball, even had he fielded it completely. So it is a double for Fukudome. Good base running by the right fielder for the Cubs.
So the leadoff man on at second for the Cubs. Here is Starlin Castro, youngest player in Major League Baseball, batting .309. Castro, Tim, is now 12 plate appearances shy of qualifying for the league leaders. Something we talked about last week during the telecast from St. Louis.
He was 17 shy last Saturday and only 12 shy now. He's played 92 of the last 93 games, and also worth reviving a comment by Lou Piniella last week telling us that when Castro was asked if he wanted a day off, he said, when you're poor, you don't take days off. Castro
be a very rich man in the near future.
That's a good point. Castro growing up dirt poor down in the Dominican Republic. And was it not interesting walking in the Braves clubhouse today and seeing most of the players reigning from the Dominican Republic watching the Little League World Series?
It's a small clubhouse, the visitors' clubhouse here at Wrigley. There's a table in the middle.
Yeah.
You walk down a narrow hallway, and there must have been 6 or 7 Braves players sitting at this table with a nice flat screen television up on the wall. And they were all focused on that Little League World Series game.
Obviously featuring the Dominican Republic.
A 1-2 to Castro. Hansen missing inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Look at Hansen's numbers over his last 5 starts. If you take it back, his last 8 starts, Tim, he's allowed only 11 earned runs his last 8 starts, but has not won a game.
Boy.
Two from Hansen. Castro down on strikes as Ross fires to Lee at first. 1 away.
So a 2-2 count to Castro. Deep counts are certainly no strangers to Hansen. Bobby Cox saying that his stuff is so good that there are a lot of foul balls hit against him in the early innings, and because of that, often he doesn't go past the 6th inning. Only 1 major league complete game to his credit. Roger McDowell, the Atlanta Braves pitching coach.
Hansen's last win way back on July the 3rd with 1 out facing Marlon Byrd. Fastball high and tight. Ball 1. Our sprint player first for Marlon Byrd. A first-time All-Star last month in Anaheim.
And very much involved. Scored the go-ahead run and then made that fine defensive play to get David Ortiz on a force out at second base.
Byrd sends this one into left center. Under it is Ankiel. Bobby Cox telling us earlier that Rick Ankiel has the best outfield arm he has ever seen during his career.
And that includes Rocky Colavito, a personal favorite of Bobby Cox. And the Cubs have done a classy thing for Bobby. Down the right field line is a billboard, a Miller Lite billboard that says, "Bravo, Bobby. Cheers to 29 years." Classy move by the Cubs.
Bobby announcing that this will be his last season as Braves manager. They won 14 straight division titles. Have not made it to the postseason each of the last 4 years. They're interesting. Braves have never gone to the postseason as the wild card. They've won the division all 14 of those years. Base hit into left field off the bat of Aramis Ramirez. Here's Fukudome heading home. The throw from Diaz is cut off. And the throw to second winds up in right center. So Ramirez heads to third.
That is excellent base running by Aramis Ramirez. He is not speedy of foot, but he forced that throw, forcing the third baseman Martin Prado to cut it off balanced. Throws it into center field, and had he thrown it a little harder, Ramirez could have scored. Fukudome scoring easily, but Ramirez making Prado cut the ball off. So it'll be a single. He went to second on the cutoff, and then an error on Prado. First Braves error of the ball game. Good base running.
And RBI number 60 for Ramirez. That ties Alfonso Soriano for the team lead as Tyler Copeland takes strike 1. Soriano given a day off today by manager Lou Piniella. So Ramirez on third with 2 outs. And And the 0-1 to Colvin on the ground to the right side. Gets past Lee. And the throw is off the mark, allowing Colvin to reach. Ramirez scores. And the Cubs take a 2-0 lead.
That's how big a base running that play that was by Ramirez. Had he not done that, well, you know, you can make a case that Ramirez wouldn't have been on third base. But that was a run for the Cubs. Cubs not a good base running team, but they have run the bases well here in the first inning, creating that second run thus far.
An infield hit for Colvin, scoring Ramirez. So the Cubs with 2 in the first off Hansen. And we've been talking all about the lack of run support for Tommy Hansen this season. He falls behind by 2 runs in the first inning.
Yesterday, you couldn't be here, Kenny, because you were doing the Cincinnati Bengals-Philadelphia Eagles game last night. Talk about a talented guy. I'm telling you, brother.
Well, who?
You, baby.
80 sends this one into right center. And Keel has it. And that will do it for the Cubs in the first. They take a 2-0 lead over Tommy Hansen and the Braves. I'm here today, Tim. The Now Network by Taco Bell, think outside the bun. And by Fusion, the 2010 Motor Trend Car of the Year. Get in and drive one. We head to the second inning here at Wrigley. Cubs leading the Braves 2-0. As we check out our 4 keys to today's game.
For the Atlanta Braves, you play as though you were at home. They have the best home record in baseball by far, 44-17 at home. That is the best Braves record at home since 1898. And for the Cubs, keep developing those young players.
Cubs have used 15 rookies this season. 9 Cubs have made their major league debut in 2010. Alex Gonzalez leading off for the Braves here in the top of the second inning against Tom Gorzolani.
Yeah, you want to continue to produce young players and good young players. You just don't want to have to develop them all at once. And that's what the Cubs have been forced to do this year.
Cubs used 6 rookie pitchers in one game earlier this week.
I saw that.
Now 3-1 on Gonzalez. Came over from the Blue Jays back on July 14th. He leads all Major League shortstops if you add up his numbers in the American League and the National League, leads all Major League shortstops in doubles, home runs, runs batted in, and extra base hits. And he takes ball 4 inside, so a leadoff walk issued by Gorzelani. He threw 22 pitches in the first inning. So the leadoff man is on for the Braves as veteran catcher David Ross steps in.
And this is really what Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach for the Cubs, and Lou Piniella have faced all year. I mean, you don't take advantage of the situation that you're in. Gorzelani sees the Cubs score 2 in the top of the first and comes out and walks the first batter in the top of the second.
First pitch to Ross, bunted foul. Back to the screen, 0-1. Brian McCann not in the starting lineup today, the MVP of the All-Star game last month. Ross with good numbers recently and terrific career numbers against Gorzelani, 3 for 4 with a home run. Gonzalez, short lead off first. 0-2 on Ross.
One of the big stories at Wrigley Field always is which way are the flags pointing. And right now the wind is blowing in from right field toward left field. So if balls in the air are going to be helped at all, one would think that it'd be balls down the left field line.
Ross sends this into right field. Under it is Fukudome. 1 away.
Lou Piniella saying before the game that Wrigley Field's like the British Open as far as the wind is concerned. You just never know which way it's going to be blowing. Always a story here.
Lou's tried to figure it out for 4 years as Cubs manager.
Yeah.
Here's yesterday's Atlanta Brave hero, Rick Ankiel. Game-winning 3-run triple after Carlos Marmol loaded the bases on 3 walks.
Boy, it was a bizarre 9th inning. Uncharacteristic of Marmol, who has just been terrific. 103 strikeouts as the stopper of the Cubs.
Ankiel acquired at the trade deadline July 31st from the Kansas City Royals. 8 hits in his last 19 at bats as Gorzelani throws over. Ankiel, of course, came up as a pitcher with the St. Louis Cardinals. He is the first major leaguer with at least 10 wins as a pitcher and at least 50 home runs since Babe Ruth.
Well, that's a great note. I did not know that. Turned a nightmare into a dream.
A dream game yesterday for Ankiel.
In the 5th inning, throwing out Coy Hill, trying to stretch a single to a double, and then the bases loaded triple to win it for the Braves. On a 2-2 pitch, 2-2 slider from Marmol.
Babe Ruth, of course, 714 home runs and 94 wins as a pitcher. Rick Ankiel, 53 home runs, 13 victories. Record of 13-10 with the Cardinals. It's this one just foul down the right field line. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gonzalez back to first, 1 out. With the pitcher Tommy Hanson waiting on deck.
Rick seems to like that right field line. He had so much success with a fair ball yesterday. And just a little quick on that inside fastball from Gorzelani.
Infield down on strikes. First strikeout for Gorzolani. Now 2 away.
That sweeping slider about 6 inches outside. In fact, Coy Hill caught it about a foot outside. Good pitch from Gorzolani.
Now with 2 outs, here's Hansen. 6 hits and 46 at bats this season. And Gorzolani misses outside, ball 1.
I was talking in the first inning about you not being here yesterday only because you had the football game last night. But Chip Carey was here. He's the announcer for the Atlanta Braves. And Chip was saying that as far as Tommy Hansen is concerned, if you don't get him in the first inning, you won't get him. Well, so far today, those were prescient words from Chip because the Cubs scored 2 in the first off Hansen.
Cubs with 2 first-inning runs on 3 base hits and 1 Atlanta error. Hansen strikes out. Second consecutive K for Gorzolani. The Chicago River, 2-0 Cubs. Is sponsored by Budweiser with full flavor and a crisp, clean finish. It's what we do. Bottom of the second inning here in Chicago. Fox Sports is proud to team with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation during our 2010 MLB on Fox season. The Breast Cancer Research Foundation helps fund the most advanced and promising breast cancer research. Join the fight by texting CURE to 27722 to donate $10 or visit bcrfcure.org. Messaging and data rates may apply. Blake DeWitt takes a called strike from Tommy Hansen. DeWitt came over from the Dodgers at the trade deadline in the deal involving Ted Lilly and Ryan Theriot. Lou Piniella has been very happy with DeWitt over his 3 weeks here in Chicago.
Here's a first-round draft choice facing a 22nd-round draft choice. That is what Tommy Hansen is. DeWitt, a first-round draft choice in 2004 with the Dodgers. And it's amazing how many pitchers that are active in the major leagues, good pitchers, that are 22 or higher as far as their round of being drafted.
And the first rounder grounds it right back to the 22nd rounder. One away.
Check all of the 22 or higher draft choices. Jaime Garcia having a great year with the Cardinals. Ted Lilly 4-0 now with the Dodgers. Roy Oswalt with the Phillies doing very well. Braden has a perfect game. Sanchez has a no-hitter. And Mark Burley down second from the bottom on the right, a 38th round draft choice, a perfect game and a no-hitter to his credit. Think about that, a 22nd round draft choice like Tommy Hanson. There were at least 660 players drafted in front of him. So we all err, and that includes Major League scouts.
I think the most well-known latest draft pick of all time would have to be Mike Piazza.
Yeah, 62nd round.
As a favorite of Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah, right.
Who knew Mike's father from Pennsylvania.
Norristown, PA.
So just think how many thousands of players were drafted before Mike Piazza that draft.
Of course, there were only 28 players then. 28 teams, I beg your pardon. So I'll do this longhand.
We'll get back to you in the fifth inning.
No. Quick longhand. 1,736 players.
There you go.
All right.
Two away. Here's Gorzelati. Let me see that math, Tim.
62 times 28. 1,736. That's what I have. That was quick now. That was under the gun, too. A lot of pressure doing a long hand.
Gorzelati fouls it back. 0-2.
The good nuns in Memphis did a good job as far as longhand was concerned.
And Tim giving them proper credit. A couple of years later.
Yeah. Never knew it would come in this handy.
Gorzelati strikes out a 1-2-3 second for Tommy Hanson. Tim's going to do some long division now. By Sprint, the Now Network. Top of the third inning on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon in Chicago, with the Cubs leading the Braves 2-0. Top of the order for Atlanta. Omar Infante leads off, grounded out to the shortstop Castro, his first time up. Infante, Hayward, and Prado for the Braves here in the third against Tom Gorzolani. The 1-1, Gorzolani missing low and away, ball 2. Right field, Fukudome's got it. One away, timeout for a DirecTV game break. DirecTV, the only way to watch every MLB game in HD. Ichiro leading off the game, takes Javier Vasquez deep. First of 2 home runs for Ichiro today. And then at the bottom of the 7th, Eduardo Nunez filling in for A-Rod, his first major league hit. Yankees take a 5-4 lead. They go on to defeat the Mariners 9-5, open up a game-and-a-half lead over the Rays in the American League East. Tampa Bay in action later tonight against Oakland. Oh, diving stop by Castro, but Hayward beats the throw.
This is the type of play that makes professional announcers go, oh! That was an old play. Great play by Castro, but too much to do to get Hayward.
A couple of the top rookies in all of baseball. Jason Hayward with his second hit of the game. And Starlin Castro making a play that made Tim go, oh! It also kept us from reminding you to call 1-800-DIRECTV.
All right.
Following the DirecTV game break, Yankees and Mariners. Alex Rodriguez on the 15-day DL with a left calf strain. Here's Martin Prado, who walked his first time up. To Prado, Gorzolani missing inside, 1-1. Prado's numbers since coming back from the disabled list. One ball, one strike, one out. Hayward takes his lead off first. Derek Lee waiting on deck, acquired by the Braves on Wednesday. Turned down a potential deal a couple of weeks back, which would have sent Lee to the Los Angeles Angels. He had the right to turn down that potential trade. And this week he agreed to go to the first place Braves. Right center. Marlon Byrd makes the catch for out number 2. Our Ken Rosenthal asked Derek Lee why the Braves, not the Angels.
But when you come down to 6 weeks in the season and teams in first place, I think, especially I'm 34 years old going on 35, you don't know how many times you're going to have the opportunity to get to the postseason. So I thought this was an excellent shot, and my family was on board with it, and so we went with it.
Derek Lee also said this week he's always heard good stuff about Bobby Cox. Has had great respect for the Braves uniform. He said yesterday felt like a 15-year-old heading to his first day of school. Ken Rosenthal, from a Braves perspective, how did this all come together?
Kenny, the Braves were thought to be looking for help at either second or third base, knowing Prado could play either position after they lost Chipper. But last Saturday night, their GM Frank Wren was sitting around looking at the players who had cleared waivers, and what he wanted most was a middle-of-the-order hitter. Well, the one guy who fit that description, who had cleared waivers and was playing for a non-contender, was Derek Lee.
And Ken, Frank Wren knows Derek Lee very well.
Yes, he does, Kenny. They go way back, in fact. 1997, Frank Wren was the Marlins assistant GM when they traded for Derek Lee, acquired him from the Padres in the Kevin Brown trade. Derek Lee was a rookie the next year. Frank Wren was still the assistant GM of the Marlins.
Derek Lee would go on to win a World Series with the Marlins in 2003, along with his new teammate with the Braves, Alex Gonzalez.
That was the Marlins infield in 2003. Luis Castillo now with the Mets. Gonzalez has been much traveled and is having a terrific year, as Kenny said earlier. And Mike Lowell is revered in Boston.
Derek Lee now 0 for 6 as a member of the Atlanta Braves. A $200,000 Pepsi Refresh grant to make a difference in their community as part of the Pepsi Refresh Project. Nearly 2 million votes were cast, and we'd like to congratulate the Minnesota Twins in their efforts to support the Courage Center's Rolling Twins Youth Softball Wheelchair Team. Visit MLB.com/Pepsi Refresh for more information. Fukudome grounds out to the shortstop Gonzalez, so quickly one away. Here in the bottom of the third inning with the Cubs leading the Braves 2-0 as Starlin Castro steps in. This, of course, will be Lou Piniella's final season as Cubs manager. They won the division title in both 2007 and 2008. His first 2 years in Chicago. Ken Rosenthal, what do you think? Who's going to be sitting in Lou's seat in the Cubs dugout in 2011?
Well, Kenny, the Cubs have had back-to-back celebrity managers, Lou and Dusty Baker. Their next guy, they want someone who will grow with the team for years to come. Now, that could be Joe Girardi if they can persuade him to leave the Yankees. Could be Ryne Sandberg, their legend, who is their manager at AAA. But one thing we know, this job is not easy. Because of their little 100-plus year championship drought, there's a lot of negative energy associated with the Cubs, and it might be difficult for a guy who has never managed in the majors like Sandberg to handle.
Sandberg has worked with so many of the young players who have come up to play for the Cubs this season. Boston Red Sox, of course, over the last decade finally rid themselves of that negative energy.
Yeah, you have to start sometime, as Castro draws a walk. I mean, look at Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi took over with the Florida Marlins. He was the manager of the year in his first year. So if you're good, experience can be overrated. And Sandberg is such a terrific player. I mean, terrific. Whitey Herzog in 1984 said he was the best player he'd ever seen. That's when he had 2 home runs off Bruce Sutter, one to tie a game here at Wrigley and one to win it. And plus, he's had a lot of these young guys playing for him in the minor leagues. So who's more knowledgeable about the players on the Cubs right now than Ryne Sandberg?
And he's paid his dues by managing in the minor leagues.
That's exactly right. Lou Piniella, by the way, 41 years ago, the Rookie of the Year with the Kansas City Royals, 1969. And that young man right there could be the Rookie of the Year in the National League this year, Starlin Castro.
Castro born in March of 1990.
It's kind of scary, isn't it? He will not be 21 until March 24th of next year.
Born a year and a half after the lights first came on here at Wrigley.
What a great source of reference that is. Think about Matt Latos, who is the great right-hander, having a fine year with the San Diego Padres. They're watching this game from Milwaukee today. Matt is 13-5 on the year with an excellent 2.35 ERA. And Matt pitched 50 2/3 innings last year for the Padres. That eliminated him from Rookie of the Year status this year by 2/3 of an inning.
Wow.
If you pitch more than 50 innings, you are no longer a rookie.
The Baltimore Orioles have a young pitcher, Brian Mattis, who reportedly was stopped just shy of that 50-inning mark last season for that very reason.
Intentionally, that's correct.
Two balls, one strike. Castro, the runner on first with one out. Bottom of the third inning from Wrigley Field. We're talking about Ryne Sandberg. This is his 4th season managing in the Cubs system. Spent 2 years at Single A Peoria. Last season, the manager with Double A Tennessee. And this year, managing the Triple A Iowa Cubs. The Hall of Famer who retired from the Cubs following the 1997 season. Castro goes 3-1, ball 4. Cubs have first and second with only one out, and Aramis Ramirez stepping to the plate. Back-to-back walks issued by Hansen. Ramirez drove in the Cubs' first run. And then his good base running led to their second run back in the first inning. Tommy Hansen running into trouble early. Did not allow more than one earned run. Many of his last 5 starts. Only one of the Cubs runs was earned in the first inning. They scored 2. Broken bat loop into left center. It drops in. Here comes Castro. And the Cubs now lead 3-0. Second RBI of the game. Team leading 61st of the season for Ramirez.
That is by a guy who has missed a number of games, and he still leads the Cubs in RBIs. After the slider away, the fastball inside, hit off the handle, and Ramirez drives in his second run. Good base running by Marlon Byrd to go to third. Castro scores easily.
Hansen has now allowed more than one earned run for the first time in his last 6 starts. Still only 1 out. Runners on first and third for Tyler Colvin. Colvin drove in a run with an infield single his first time up. And back on April 8th, he hit his first major league home run off Tommy Hansen in Atlanta.
That was a fine play by David Ross, the catcher. Now out to talk to Hansen. Here's that home run Kenny was talking about. The 3rd game of the year for Colvin. Back on April 8th.
He talked about some of the rookies around the National League. Hayward, Castro. Colvin leads all major league rookies in home runs with 18. For the runner on third, Ramirez over at first.
Lou Piniella talking about Tyler and saying that Colvin just needs to follow his instincts more at the plate. Swinging a lot of balls out of the strike zone, particularly with 2 strikes. Good hitting situation here.
Base hit into right field. So Colvin drives in Byrd, and the Cubs now lead the Braves 4-0. Second run batted in today. 44th of the season for Colvin. He grew up a Braves fan, born in Augusta, Georgia. Favorite players, Chipper Jones and David Justice.
Now Lou talking about how Colvin, he is such an aggressive hitter that sometimes he gets hits on balls out of the strike zone, like right there. Looking for a fastball. It was low out of the strike zone. And he said to himself, I want that RBI. I don't want to leave it up to the next guy.
So the Cubs with 4 consecutive base runners after Hansen retired the leadoff man Fukudome. 2 RBIs apiece for Ramirez and Colvin. Well, Saturday Baseball on Fox, presented by Sprint, returns next week with 2 matchups. Phillies and the Padres, Twins and the Mariners. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern. Check local listings for the game in your area. A 4-run lead for the Cubs, bottom of the 3rd inning. We will chat during the break with Cubs skipper Lou Piniella, who is pleased with what he has been watching so far today.
Well, he likes baseball on Fox because he realizes that they are 4-2 this year.
Right field. Haywood makes the catch, 2 away. Beatty now 0 for 2. He was pointing to you, Tim. Love the success the Cubs have had on Fox. course, he was a colleague of ours.
Yeah, great guy. A lot of fun going through one of the more miserable years of his career, either as a player or a manager or a coach or a broadcaster.
You mean he wasn't miserable sitting up here with us?
No. Are you kidding? No. That's easy duty. Come on.
I remember the first game I worked with Lou down in Florida. He didn't know how to keep score.
No.
He had never had to.
I didn't know when I got in the booth in 1980.
So as a prop, we sent one of our assistants down to get Lou one of those big lineup cards the managers use in the dugout. And it was one of his first broadcasts, and that's what he used during the game. An actual lineup card as he would if he were managing. There it is.
It's a big card.
He did learn how to keep score that year. And Blake DeWitt with a base hit into right field. Here comes Ramirez. 5-0 Chicago. We would love to be keeping score today.
Well, I'll say. Well, he's keeping score. You can bet. All he knows is it's 5-0. And the Cubs have done it in every way this year. They had the broken bat hit by Ramirez, a ball off the end of the bat by DeWitt, a ball out of the strike zone by Colvin, and a couple of walks to start it off. And don't they always, it seems.
Both have scored. Both Cubs who walked in this inning, Castro and Bird. Roy Hill, the 8th batter of the inning for the Cubs. And he takes inside ball 1.
You know, we took a little survey last year, unofficially, of course, from Major League managers, asking them whether they thought multi-run innings were started with a walk or a home run. And their answers to a man were walks. And last year, that was not correct, because a leadoff home run led to more multi-run innings than walks did, which is a bit of a surprise.
Left field, Diaz, and that will do it for the Cubs in the 3rd. They score 3 runs and now lead Tommy Hanson and the Braves 5-0. Luke Piniella coming up. You're here, your family. By DirecTV, watch your Cubs. As we move to the fourth, Matt Diaz will lead off for the Braves. Lined out to the right fielder Fukudome. His first time up. Braves in a 5-run home. Atlanta came into this game having won 5 of their last 6, 8 of their last 10. 2.5 game lead on the Phillies in the National League East. Phillies in action later tonight, hosting the Washington Nationals. Christian Martinez up in the Braves pen. On one hop, it's the second baseman DeWitt. High throw. And the tag was applied by Nady. Well, Diaz is retired.
Good play by Xavier Nady, not taking it for granted. Easy throw by DeWitt. Just kind of lollygags it over there. And Nady with the jump and the tag. Good play and a good call by first base umpire Dale Scott.
So with one away, here's Alex Gonzalez. Walked back in the second inning. 0-1. Nothing and 2 on Gonzalez. Ball 1 says first base umpire and crew chief Dale Scott. Dan Iasonia behind the plate today. Gary Meals out at second. Mark Wegner is the third base umpire. On the ground to the third baseman, Aramis Ramirez. 2 away. Rosalani has retired 8 of the last 9 Braves. Braves with 2 base runners back in the first inning. Rosalani worked out of the jam. So with 2 away, here's David Ross. Fly to right his first time up. David Ross, Tim hit his first career home run off our colleague here at Fox, Mark Grace, who came in to pitch in a game for the Arizona Diamondbacks. This might be the first game I've worked the last couple of years in which David Ross has played and Mark has not been in the booth.
No.
Usually seems to work out that he's up in the booth and David Ross plays on a Fox Saturday game. And usually find a way to roll in the home run.
Was that the only home run Mark gave up? Mark very popular here in the Chicago area.
Fukudome on the run to the right field corner, and it bounces off the ivy. So Ross on at second, his 9th double of the season.
I'll tell you, Kenny, I'm surprised the ball carried that well to right field.
Even without Mark Grace on the mound.
Yeah, that's right. And think about it, with Ross a right-handed batter, Fukudome almost made a sensational play. But we mentioned earlier that wind is blowing in from right field, and that ball seemed to carry very, very well.
McCankill struck out his first time up.
You're in a situation right here. You've got a 5-run lead with the wind blowing in. You want to challenge Ankiel. Sure, that's what Larry Rothschild's thinking in the Cub dugout.
Zero, fastball in for strike one.
The big reasons for that is not only you've got a 5-run lead, but if you get Ankiel out, that means you have to send Hansen back to the mound unless Bobby Cox chooses to make a double switch. And if he does that, then he wastes the player that he wouldn't normally waste. So one way or the other, you're not pitching around Ankiel by any means.
Martinez continues to throw in the Braves pen. With the Cubs leading 5-0. Ross for the 2-out double. And now the 3-1 to Ankiel, full count.
Good slider and a fastball count.
Pitch from Gorzolani. Ankiel strikes out for the second time. So Ross is stranded on second. Middle of the fourth. Buckingham Fountain here in Chicago with the Cubs leading the Braves 5-0. Back in Chicago, bottom of the fourth inning with Tom Gorzolani leading off against Tommy Hansen. Gorzolani struck out back in the second inning. Hansen has allowed 5 runs on 6 hits over the first 3 innings, after allowing only 11 earned runs in his last 8 starts combined. Ramos Ramirez and Tyler Colvin have both driven in a couple of runs for the Cubs. Blake DeWitt with an RBI single as well. 1-2. Gorzolani gets the bat on it, fouled back to the screen. Fukudome waiting on deck, and then Starlin Castro. Cubs looking to break a 5-game losing streak. They've dropped 8 in a row here at home. Left field. And the catch is made by Matt Diaz for out number 1. We spoke moments ago with Cubs skipper Lou Piniella. Lou very pleased with his team's 4-2 record on Fox Saturday Baseball this season.
Yeah, we've got 5 runs on the board. We played well on national TV. We should be on there all the time.
Now talk a little bit about Derek Lee, a guy you managed for close to 4 seasons here in Chicago, and what he meant to you and this Cubs organization. Well,
outstanding young man, productive player, good guy in the clubhouse. I hope he helps Atlanta. Not the series, obviously, but yeah, he's a good guy, and I've really enjoyed managing him.
Joe, Lou, speaking of good guys and future stars, Starlin Castro, a very special young player, huh?
You're right, Timmy. I'll tell you, he can play. He's got good hands at shortstop position. He's got a good throwing arm. He makes some rookie mistakes from time to time, but he's very, very coachable. And with the bat, he puts the ball in play. He's got to learn the strike zone a little better. But yeah, he's going to be a special player here in Chicago for a long time.
And Tyler Colvin, Lou, another rookie who should be a big part of the future here in Chicago.
They've got some good young kids in this organization. They're learning to play up here, but they're talented. They've got some good kids down in the lower minors. So this year here, it's been a struggle for us, but the future looks brighter.
Thanks, Lou. As always, we appreciate it. Lou Piniella with over 1,800 career wins. And as the Cincinnati Reds to the 1990 World Series title. You did some math earlier, Tim. I did as well.
Good.
Lou Piniella and Bobby Cox. Let's take a look at Lou's managerial resume. Payoff pitch to Fukudome. Foul back to the screen. If you take the career wins of Lou and Bobby Cox, add them together, 4,319, which would be the equivalent of going 162-0 in 26 seasons. That's how many wins they have in their careers combined as Major League managers.
Wow.
Bobby 4th overall with 2,485.
Yeah, when Bobby Cox first started back in 1978, Lou Piniella was on his way to a 2nd consecutive World Series championship with the New York Yankees. And Lou played after the 78 season, Bobby's first year. Lou played another 9 years. 41 years old when he retired. But when Bobby Cox started in 1978, Jimmy Carter was the president. Lou Piniella played outfield for the world champion Yankees, and the top song was Shadow Dancing by Andy Gibb.
Fukudome will shadow dance his way down to first.
Well, one of the problems with the 3 o'clock start is those shadows start dancing between home plate and the pitcher's mound, and it becomes very, very difficult to see, particularly when you include the light standards.
So 1-out base runner for the Cubs as Starlin Castro steps in. Lou's first year as a Yankee was 1974. After 5 years in Kansas City, Bobby Cox was managing the Yankees AAA affiliate that year up in Syracuse, New York. Bad knees forced Bobby Cox to retire as a player at the age of 30. And in 1971, he was named manager of the Yankees Single-A affiliate in Fort Lauderdale. Here we are today, 2,485 wins later.
Bobby would never tell you this, he's too modest, but he was a very popular player on the Yankees and a real leader in 1968, 69. Friends of Mickey Mantle's, friends of Roger Maris. Of course, Roger was traded to the Cardinals in 67 and 8. But all of them, almost to a man, knew Bobby was going to be a successful major league manager.
And you mentioned The Yankees winning their second consecutive title in 78. Well, in 77, when Lou Piniella won his first ring as a player, Bobby Cox was the Yankees' first base coach.
First taste of a championship. He has been once again to the postseason 15 times. Once with the Toronto Blue Jays in '85, and then 14 in a row with the Braves starting in '91.
Fukudome on the move. The pitch gets away from Ross. Stolen base number 5 on the season for Fukudome.
You see Ross coming up to throw, and that took him away from that cutter of Hansen's, and the ball got by him. You see how it's going to be scored: wild pitch or pass ball. Stolen base with the runner running. So neither.
To Castro, and he lifts it in the air to left center. Coming on to make the catch is Diaz for out number 2. First base coach of the Yankees in 77. After his playing career ended early due to the knee injury. Then in 1978, became manager of the Braves. Spent 4 years in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform and then returned to Atlanta. And as you said, 15 trips to the postseason.
Been kicked out of 156 games. That's almost a season's worth of games.
Great article in Sports Illustrated a couple of weeks ago.
Saw that, yeah.
About all of the ejections.
Well, he's protecting his players. And you talk to all the guys who played for Bobby Cox, and they will tell you to a man that he is one of the finest guys to play for. All you have to do is be on time. He refuses to ignore that rule. Be on time. No excuses.
One to Marlon Byrd, and Hansen misses high. And Rosenthal, you have something to add about the 156 career ejections?
Yes, Kenny. The Braves players walk around the clubhouse in T-shirts that say 153. That, of course, is a reference to the record for career ejections. And Bobby Cox seems to take that in pretty good humor.
As you mentioned, Tim, he has been known throughout his career as a player's manager, always protecting his players.
Yeah. Ken Rosenthal, they've got to update those T-shirts.
Yep. Tim, they'd be sending out for new T-shirts, I don't know, once a month or so. Maybe more.
Yeah.
They should have the next few numbers ready in boxes in the clubhouse.
Right. Exactly.
Bird down on strikes. Fukudome stranded on second. 5-0 Cubs. win a Fox Sports baseball cap. You could join hundreds of others who are already wearing theirs. The current longest streak is 17, held by three friends of Tim McCarver, Johnny Rocket, B. Martin, and Savo 301. You know these guys, Tim? Get your streak started today. Win yourself a hat or some cash at foxsports.com/fantasy. Johnny Rocket, B. Martin, Savo 301. Congratulations, guys.
All kidding aside, though, Kenny, you know, we were talking about how Bobby Cox, how his players respect him. I mean, how many managers with a 2.5 game lead in late part of August would allow the starting pitcher to hit and almost get a hit in the 5th inning, trailing by 5 runs? I think from Bobby to Tommy Hanson, this is a gift. And the gift is, look, we haven't been able to score for you. This is one time where you're having a bad outing over the last 7 or 8. And this at bat is an indication of how well you pitched and how few runs we scored. And maybe we can break out in the 5th or 6th inning for you.
Braves have not scored a run for Hanson today over the first 4. He had allowed 0 or 1 run, earned run, in each of his last 5 starts. He's not won a game since July 3rd. Started the year 7-3. And is a big part of this Atlanta Braves rotation. Hanson called out on strikes. 5th strikeout for Tom Gorzolani. So here's Omar Infante with 1 away. Braves team 2nd in the league in earned run average this season, trailing only the San Diego Padres. They've allowed the fewest home runs in all of baseball. Big reason why the Braves are in first place in the NL East. Infante looking to bunt his way on, and he does. 1 out base runner for the Braves here in the 5th. Time now for a DirecTV game break. We take it to Baltimore. Josh Bell, first Major League home run off Cliff Lee. And he does it again in the bottom of the 4th inning. First 2 home runs, both coming off Cliff Lee. Orioles lead the Rangers 7-3. Bottom of the 5th inning. First time Cliff Lee has ever allowed 4 long balls in 1 game.
It's a bad 24 hours for left-handed pitchers who are good left-handed pitchers. John Lester gave up 9 runs in 2 innings for the Red Sox last night. 2 of the best in the game, Cliff Lee and John Lester, having 2 bad outings.
Cliff Lee has allowed 13 home runs this season. He's issued 10 walks. DirecTV, the only way to watch every MLB game in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Jason Hayward with a couple of hits today. Behind in the count, 0-2 with Martin Prado waiting on deck. Josh Bell, in case you're wondering, acquired by the Orioles from the Dodgers at the trade deadline last season. George Sherrill went west from Baltimore to Los Angeles. To Hayward, pops it up, foul territory, out of play.
Well, the minute you mention the Los Angeles Dodgers, you think of Manny Ramirez and where he's going to be over the next 10 days. Will he be traded? Manny Ramirez has been on the disabled list 3 times this year. Showed up for the Dodgers in spring training and said, I'm not going to be with the Dodgers next year, and then went about assuring that he wouldn't be. But you got to believe that the Dodgers want to get rid of him. Shed some of the salary of the $25 million he's making this year.
Hayward, right field. Fukudome, 2 away. Ken, what are you hearing about Manny?
Well, Kenny, he is expected to be activated from the DL either this weekend or sometime early next week. Once that happens, he'll have to play a little bit, and then toward the end of the month, the Dodgers will place him on waivers. The question then becomes, will any team claim him? And remember, there was quite a bit of activity around Manny at the non-waiver deadline, July 31st. The White Sox had interest, and so did the Rays.
Dodgers 12 out in the West. Joe Torre has been to the postseason every year since '96, Tim.
Yeah, you'd have to think if Ramirez is traded, it would have to be to an American League team where they could DH him, since he has played so sparingly in the outfield this year.
Joe Torre, 14 consecutive seasons in the postseason with the Yankees and the Dodgers. That ties Bobby Cox for the longest streak ever.
I mean, keep in mind that Joe Torre has a long playing record with the Atlanta Braves, and it would be interesting to see whether Joe would be a consideration for Atlanta next year with Bobby Cox leaving.
Potter with a shot on one bounce to the ivy and left. Stand-up double for Prado. Infante moves to third.
Now Derek Lee with another chance. He has stranded 3 runners today. He has another couple on the bases. So it would be a pretty good gift to the Atlanta Braves to get a hit in this situation.
Comes in next Sunday. Fox's NFL preseason coverage concludes as the Pittsburgh Steelers head to the Mile High City to battle the Broncos and their rookie quarterback Tim Tebow. Coverage begins next Sunday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific at HD right here on Fox. NFL preseason games on Fox the last 2 nights. New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday, followed by Cincinnati and Philadelphia last night. The 17th season of the NFL on Fox. Derek Lee in his 7th at-bat as a Brave. 0 for 7. He strands 2 in the 5th. On a picture-perfect afternoon in Chicago, Cubs leading the Braves 5-0. Tune into the MLB Network for the 2010 Reviving Baseball and Inner Cities World Series presented by KPMG. Check local listings tomorrow afternoon to watch the girls softball game on MLB Network. Here's Aramis Ramirez leading off for the Cubs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Ramirez has driven in a pair of runs, RBI singles in the 1st and 3rd innings off Tommy Hanson. Ramirez now with 29 runs batted in since the All-Star break, most in the National League.
Both to left field. Inside fastball. And a broken bat hit to drive in his 2 runs today.
Off the glove of the charging third baseman Prado. Ramirez on base for the 3rd time. Second error of this game committed by Martin Prado.
Once again, Bobby Cox telling us before the game that interchangeable parts in the infield, Prado and Infante. Infante, a very good third baseman. As Kenny said earlier, he was given the option, was Martin Prado, and he chose third base.
In the absence of Chipper Jones. Troy Gloss also on the disabled list, and when he comes back with the acquisition of Derek Lee, there has been talk of Gloss playing some third.
Yeah. If his knee permits. You talked about Tyler Colvin as O'Flaherty gets up. Eric O'Flaherty. Colvin, those 18 home runs, 7 shy of Billy Williams' rookie record of 25 home runs back in 1961. And they are erecting a statue of Billy Williams. Sweet swinging Billy from Mobile. Well, I mean, a lot of talents, baseball talents, come out of Mobile, Alabama. Willie McCovey. Hank Aaron. Cleon Jones. Willie Mays from Birmingham. Tommy Agee.
Some all-star team.
Yeah. I think I've told you this story, but Billy Williams was such a good hitter that he would put a half a stick of gum in his mouth before he came up to the plate. And it was ritual for Billy to spit the gum in the air and try to hit it with the bat. My experience as a catcher.
On the ground to the right side. And the Braves turn 2. 4-6-3 double play.
He never missed the gum. Good turn right there by Gonzalez, one of the best in the business to get Colvin.
Did he ever foul the gum back into your glove?
He never missed the gum. And this is over, you know, like a 15-year period that we faced one another. I kid him about it to this day. He said, nope, I never missed that gum. Talk about a great hitter.
Only a half stick.
That's right.
Xavier Nady 0 for 2. He's flied out twice.
But it's a controversial move by the Cubs. They're erecting a statue of Billy Williams to be put up within the next month, I believe. And they're moving Harry Carey's statue to the bleachers. And the Cubs thinking that Harry had such a kinship with the folks in the bleachers that it would be more appropriate for Harry to be out there.
And I read a couple of quotes on the matter. Initially, it was reported that the Carey family was not thrilled with the move, but Chip Carey, who you mentioned earlier, broadcast with the Braves, he said he was fine with it.
Yeah. What an imprint Harry Carey made in the city of Chicago with the White Sox, then with the Cubs.
Slow roller. Ross fires off the mark. Into the Braves bullpen. Nady takes second base. A single for Nady and an error charged to Ross. Third error of this game committed by the Braves.
Well, it's a tough play, a hurried throw, and it's into the runner. So Nady with a base hit and a throwing error on Ross. In fact, Harry Carey, of course, singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in the bottom of the 7th inning. We'll be joined by Digger Phelps today of Notre Dame fame. Works on ESPN as a basketball analyst.
A little baseball as well.
No, baseball too, with Jamie Moyer in the family.
Son-in-law Jamie Moyer, who began his career with the Cubs back in '86.
Right. Back in 1986. Jamie and his wife have 7 children, 2 adopted. Jamie will miss the rest of the season for the Phillies, who, by the way, Jamie and Karen with those 7 children. And the Phillies playing tonight in Philadelphia. Roy Halladay pitched his 4th 1-0 victory last night to beat Washington.
Braves intentionally walked Blake DeWitt as we check in with Ken.
News on the Phillies, guys. They have reinstated Ryan Howard from the disabled list. Their infield now with Utley back will finally be whole. Also, the Padres have reinstated David Eckstein from the DL. And we've got those 2 teams next week on Fox from San Diego. Phillies at Pods.
Ryan Howard missed 3 weeks with that sprained left ankle. Has 23 home runs, has driven in 81 runs for the Phillies, who trail the Braves by 2.5 and look to get back to the postseason. They've been to the World Series each of the last 2 years. Phillies will face Steven Strasburg tonight at Citizens Bank Park. First and second with 2 out. Coy Hill is 0 for 2 today. It's blocked by Ross. 1-1.
Talk of manager of the year, Kenny. Bud Black's name has certainly surfaced a lot in the National League West. Bud doing such a great job this year. But Charlie Manuel should be a guy that should be considered too. I mean, you have to wonder how many games the Philadelphia infield has started together with Polanco, Rollins, Utley, and Howard. Not many this year.
How about Bobby Cox?
Yeah, Bobby Cox. Certainly one of the sentimental favorites. Not a lot of people thought the Braves would contend like they have this year.
Another block by Ross. We were talking about Joe Torre earlier. His name has actually been mentioned in media reports regarding the Cubs. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Mets were to make a change if Joe Torre wound up managing the Mets next year.
That's an interesting choice. Dusty Baker with the Reds. I mean, what a job Dusty has done this year. The Reds, by the way, have picked up 6 games on the Cardinals in the last 7 days.
Wow. Cubs beat the Cardinals last weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. Dusty offered a contract extension this week by Cincinnati. Has not yet agreed to it, but has said he has enjoyed his time in Cincinnati. Reds now lead the Cardinals by 4.5.
Cardinals have lost 5 in a row. The Reds have won 7 in a row, beating the Dodgers last night.
Oh, line drive right into the glove of Hansen.
Nothing to it, huh, Tommy?
There's another one of those. Oh,
this will make your heart skip a beat. me hear it.
By Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. And by Chevrolet, every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. Top of the 6th inning in Chicago with Matt Diaz leading off against Tom Gorzolani. He's not allowed to run over the first 5 innings against the Braves club that leads their division. Braves lost 9 games in a row back in April. Since then, they have the best record in baseball, 64-36. Fair ball down the left field line off the bat of Diaz. He's on his way to second and is in with a stand-up double.
Second time in this game that the Braves have had their leadoff batter on. This is a cut fastball that Gorzolani tried to come inside to Diaz. Mike too quick for him.
Here's Alex Gonzalez, 0 for 1 with a walk today. Five o'clock here in Chicago. Our Verizon game summary. Aramis Ramirez and Tyler Coleman have each driven in 2 runs. Cubs 5 for 13 with runners in scoring position. And Gorzolani has blanked the Braves over the first 5. Braves a season high 22 games above the 500 mark. You mentioned earlier their terrific home record, 44-17. Best winning percentage in 112 years at home for the Braves franchise.
Remarkable.
But on the road, they are 5 games under 500 at 28-33.
By the way, they were obviously not the Atlanta Braves in 1898. They were the Boston Braves.
And no, Bobby Cox was not managing that 1898 Braves squad.
Been around a long time, but not that long. I guess to put it in the military perspective, it's the first time that the Braves have had a record that good since the Spanish-American War. It's a long time.
96 pitches for Gorzolani. Top of the 6th inning, nobody out. Cubs leading 5-0. And Gonzalez rips one past the diving Ramirez down the left field line. Baez will score easily. RBI number 67 on the season for Gonzalez. Braves cut the Cubs lead to 5-1.
So another good at bat from Alex Gonzalez. He is a pull hitter. Both of those doubles, by the way, going between Ramirez and the third baseline.
So back-to-back doubles down the left field line to start this 6th inning. Here's David Ross, who doubled his last time up. Fastball in for strike one. Justin Bird up in the Cubs pen.
By the way, in 1898, the Boston team was not named the Braves. From 1883 to 1906, they were the Boston Bean Eaters.
You have a Bean Eaters cap?
No. I didn't know if they had caps that they wear like they have today with the extended bill.
Right back to the box. Gorzolani to first, Gonzalez home. During the football telecast last night, Tim, we mentioned that yesterday was the 90th anniversary of the day the NFL was formed during a meeting in Canton, Ohio. There were 4 independent teams who became part of the NFL, including the Akron Zips. So in the last 24 hours on Fox, there have been references to the Akron Zips and the Boston Bean Eaters. Don't forget about the Dayton Triangles. Of course, the Yankees in the early part of the 20th century were known as the New York Highlanders.
Yeah, right. Those Highlanders won over Seattle today 9-5.
Stay tuned for the Highlanders and the Bean Eaters on Fox.
Right. What a rivalry.
There's Eric O'Flaherty up again in the Braves pen.
And we're not young enough to, or we're old enough to remember when the Chicago Bears played here. Played a NFL championship game and beat the Giants 14-10 in 1963. Chicago Bears played in this ballpark from 1921 to 1970.
It will be in action tonight across town at Soldier Field.
Jay Cutler.
Bears and the Raiders tonight.
Urlacher's back, right?
Should be a fun division with Brett Favre back in Minnesota.
Oh, man.
Green Bay Packers coming off a terrific season. There's your guy, Jay Cutler, Tim. Julius Peppers, longtime Carolina Panther. And Brian Urlacher returning from his wrist injury. The 1-2 to Rick Ankiel, who has struck out twice. He has now struck out 3 times. 6th strikeout for Gorzolani.
Gorzolani had gotten Rick with sliders earlier. Now Ankiel going after the high fastball. Tried to hold up but couldn't.
Now a pinch hitter for Tommy Hanson. It is Diory Hernandez. One for 3 this season, all as a pinch hitter. Underwent shoulder surgery in December and was on the disabled list through late June. Hernandez hit a pinch hit home run on Tuesday. Played in 33 games for the Braves last season. Made his major league debut in May of 2009. 1-1 from Gorzelani, missing away. Now 2-1. Justin Berg on the left, and the left-hander James Russell on the right. Gonzalez, the runner on second with 2 outs. 2-1 from Gorzelani. Now 2-2.
Hernandez going after a high fastball, then just a wee bit out of the zone.
Hernandez is called out on strikes. That's 7 Ks for Gorzelani. Braves score a run on 2 doubles. Middle of the 6th, 5-1 Cubs. From the disabled list yesterday, have been out close to 6 weeks with a viral infection, so his first appearance is coming off the DL. And Tom Gorzelani flies out to Diaz in left field, 1 away. Up to the 5-1 lead. They scored 2 in the first, 3 in the third. 2 runs batted in apiece for Ramos Ramirez and Tyler Colden. Here's Kosuke Fukudome. Doubled, scored back in the first inning. Walked, stole a base in the fourth. The Cubs with a 4-run lead today. They've won only 4 of their last 23 games. And Ryan Dempster, yesterday starting pitcher for Chicago, has 3 of those 4 wins. So Over the last 23 games, only one Cubs win in a game not started by Ryan Dempster.
Wow.
And Dempster, as we mentioned earlier, very classy move, stepping off the mound prior to Derek Lee's first at bat yesterday. Dempster and Lee played together for close to 12 seasons in both Florida and here in Chicago. And after the trade of Lee to the Braves on Wednesday, Dempster, quoted, referring to Derek Lee, said he's an even better human being than baseball player.
I think you might be able to say the same thing about Ryan Dempster.
Dome with a base hit into center field, his second hit of the game. So one-out base runner for the Cubs here in the sixth. Well, the sports television community was saddened by the loss of Tom Cox, Senior Director of Remote Operations at Turner Sports this past week. Tom suffered a heart attack at the PGA tournament in Kohler, Wisconsin, while he was doing what he loved, Tim, being in the field with his crew. Passed away on Tuesday in Milwaukee. His accomplishments in broadcasting are too many to mention, so our thoughts and prayers go out to Gina, their boys, as well as the entire Turner Sports family and the entire sports television world. Cubs with a 5-1 lead, one out. Bottom of the sixth inning. Tommy Hanson, the Braves starter, went 5, allowed 5 runs, 4 earned on 7 hits. 4 walks, 1 intentional, 4 strikeouts. Off the mound into center field. May have dinged off O'Flaherty. Base hit for Starlin Castro. Cubs with runners on first and second.
You know, Kenny, I guess if you're a numerologist, you would probably tell Starlin Castro that before you continue your Cubs career, get rid of that number 13. But there was a great shortstop close to the Hall of Fame numbers, and that's Davey Concepcion of the Cincinnati Reds and the Big Red Machine, who wore number 13. Davey, of course, Venezuelan, Starlin from the Dominican Republic. Boy, he is a good-looking ball player. What a talent.
Alex Rodriguez also wears number 13.
Yeah.
There's Marlon Byrd with 2 on, 1 out. We were talking about it last week, Tim. Castro inching up as far as plate appearances are concerned in order to qualify for the league leaders. If he were to win the batting title, he would be the youngest batting champion in baseball history.
Ever. That's right. That's a long time.
Al Kaline and Ty Cobb won batting titles at the age of 20, but they both turned 21 in December of those respective years. And the Braves able to turn their second double play in the last 2 innings. We'll return to Chicago after a word from your local Fox station. Welcome back. Kenny Albert along with Tim McCarver and Ken Rosenthal. Omar Infante leading off for the Braves. Here in the top of the 7th inning. Cubs leading 5-1. Infante first pitch. Fouls it off down the right field line. 0-1. Infante with an infield single back in the 5th inning, Tim, extending his hitting streak to 10 games. Carl Farnsworth acquired at the trade deadline up in the Braves pen. As Infante is called out on strikes, that is strikeout number 8 for Gorzelati. Time for a DirecTV game break. Twins hosting the Angels. Peter Borges with his first career home run off Kevin Slowey. That ties the game at 3. Next batter, Bobby Abreu goes deep. Slowey, 7 innings, a no-hit ball in his last start on Sunday. Slowey and the Twins trailing the Angels 5-3 today.
That's good news for White Sox fans. The Southsiders 4.5 behind Minnesota. And they play a doubleheader tonight, so conceivably they could cut the lead to 3 games if they sweep Kansas City and Minnesota loses.
The 8 strikeouts for Gorzelati, Tim. Too high of his season and career high of 10. Set back in May against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Andrew Kastner, one of the 6 rookies in the Cubs pen.
Gorzelati's done a very good job of keeping the ball out the middle of the plate this afternoon.
Strikeout number 9 for Gorzelati.
Get ahead and expand the strike zone. That is really what pitching is all about.
6 of the 9 strikeouts have been number 8 and 9 hitters in the Braves order. Ankiel has struck out 3 times, and the number 9 spot 3 times. Hanson twice, and then the pinch hitter Hernandez. Here's Prado, doubled his last time up. Top of the 7th in Chicago. Digger Phelps just stopped by the booth to say hello. He's getting ready to sing "Take Me Out" to the ball game.
And handing out autographed markers. The preferred autographed marker of Digger Phelps. We are proud owners of those right now.
A black Sharpie. There's Digger.
He is a beauty. Former Notre Dame basketball coach. Father-in-law of Jamie Moyer. We talked about him earlier. And a great singer.
You and I will get to hear him momentarily.
Yeah.
7th inning stretch time in Chicago. Live Forward. And by Geico, 15 minutes to save you 15% or more on car insurance. Back at Wrigley on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, early evening. There is former Cub Kyle Farnsworth, third pitcher of this game for the Atlanta Braves. Acquired back on July 31st from the Kansas City Royals. And he will face the middle of the order, Ramos Ramirez leading off for the Cubs. Ramirez has reached base 3 times, a couple of hits. He's driven in 2 runs, reached on an error his last time up.
Second tenure for Farnsworth with the Braves. He's also been with Kansas City, been with the New York Yankees. Always had a great arm. Falling behind in the count is major problem.
The 1-2, Ramirez reaches out and has his third base hit of the game. So the leadoff man is on for the Cubs here in the 7th.
If I never get back and we'll root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame for it. At the old ball game, let's go! Seal the deal! Seal the deal!
You're right, Tim. He could sing.
Yeah.
Have you ever been approached about taking part?
No.
I'm well aware of the CD you put out.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's a different deal.
Golden fouls it off into the stands in left field. There's got to be a little bit of pressure with everybody in the stands looking up at you.
I would think so. Chip Carey did the singing yesterday. The Braves announcer did a great job. Good job by Digger Phelps.
We've seen people from all walks of life sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" here at Wrigley.
We have. Great tradition. One of the it's a pretty good crowd on hand today. They do have some empty seats, but normally when the Cubs were contending, they were sold out not only in the ballpark, the bleachers outside the ballpark. One of the remarkable things about Cub attendance, back in 1906, the year before they won 2 consecutive world championships, they drew more people. 1906, they drew more people than they did in 1966. Marty and I were talking about it before the game. I remember many a game here where they'd have 3,500, 4,000 people. So a crowded Wrigley Field is not necessarily the way it's always been. It's a more recent phenomenon. None of those bleachers across the street were here 35 years ago. None.
And statistician Marty Aronoff reporting today's attendance of 41,099 in the ballpark, not including those in the bleachers outside Wrigley.
Of which, by the way, the Cubs get 18% of the seat charges of the buildings across the street. It's a pretty big investment to buy the building and put the bleachers on top of it. And that's what several businessmen have done here in Chicago. And when they bought the buildings, it was, at the peak of the recession several years ago. So a couple have taken a hit. One of those buildings is in foreclosure, I understand. Can't tell you which one, but one of them.
One of the top ballparks that we get to visit on a year in, year out basis.
No, it's wonderful. Never get tired of it.
And we were talking to Lou Piniella about this disappointing season and what it's been like managing the Cubs for the last 4 years. They had great success his first 2 seasons. And he's enjoyed managing here. He's enjoyed managing in the city. But he pointed out that the batting cages are all the way down the right field line. And the Cubs also play so many afternoon games that it's hard to get extra work in before those games. So the Cubs actually do most of their extra hitting and some of the other fundamentals on the road.
Yeah. It's been a problem for the Cubs over the years getting the extra work that's needed to field a championship caliber club. Of course, there was all-day baseball until 1988 when they put the lights in 22 years ago.
Second consecutive strikeout for Kyle Farnsworth. Now 2 away.
That looked like a splitter that went straight down to get Nady.
Referring to the plethora of afternoon games, Lou Piniella quoted as saying, "I've enjoyed the city. My family and friends come here. They have a ball. They want me to go out to dinner every night. And I have to be here at 8 in the morning." Lou also told us last week, of course, he's from the Tampa area, spends the off seasons down in South Florida. He said many of his best friends looking forward to having him home, not only in the winter. He said many of my best friends in Tampa retired 5 years ago.
Bobby Cox, on the other hand, went to a play last night after a day game yesterday for the first time visiting Chicago. He loves to visit here, loves the restaurants here in Chicago. So for the first time since 1978, I guess, because his Toronto Blue Jay team played the White Sox for those 4 years he managed the Blue Jays. So Bobby's been coming here as a manager for the last 33 years, and it's his first play. Go figure.
If he enjoyed it, he may change his mind and come back to manage so he can go to more plays in Chicago.
I think Bobby will have enough financial support to visit Chicago and go to a lot of plays.
He will continue to work for the Braves organization as a consultant.
For a 5-year contract, you understand.
He'll go visit some of their minor league affiliates. 15 division titles. 4-time manager of the year. And a first-place ball club on August 21st.
I asked Bobby today at the meeting what he would offer advice to a young manager now. And he had one word: patience. That being a major league manager requires more patience now than it's ever required. And one of the reasons for that is you have a lot of young players. You look at the Cubs with 11 rookies on their roster. So while patience is always a good virtue, it's particularly good for young managers coming into the game today.
The Witt down on strikes, so after the leadoff single by Ramirez, Farnsworth strikes out the side in the 7th. by Sprint. Sprint, the Now Network. 5-1 Cubs over the Braves. Tom Corzolani's line allowed only 1 run in 7 innings. Struck out 9, 1 shy of his career best. 23-year-old right-hander Andrew Cashner, first-round pick by the Cubs back in 2008. Facing Derek Lee, still looking for his first hit as a Brave. 0 for 4 yesterday, 0 for 3 today. Leadoff walk. So Derek Lee heads down to first.
For the first time on base as a Brave, and I would imagine that'll get the bullpen up. Maybe Sean Marshall, the left-hander.
Well, the NFL season just a few weeks away. Get your fantasy football team now at foxsports.com/fantasy. Fox Fantasy Football features new draft rooms, mock drafts, draft kits, and is still 100% free. Play today at foxsports.com/fantasy. Here's Matt Diaz. Sean Marshall in the Cubs 10.
Yeah, I think the only reason Cashner's pitching right now is there's a cushion of 4 runs. But Lou Piniella, if the Braves tack on 1 or 2 here, he will waste no time bringing Marshall in the game.
The 7th and 8th innings have been a problem for the Cubs this year.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the Cubs are 3rd in the National League in quality starts. Quality starts, 6 innings, 3 or fewer earned runs. Diaz down on strikes. First strikeout for Cashner.
That's the erratic part of a young pitcher. He throws 4 straight balls to Derek Lee and now 3 straight strikes to get Diaz.
So with 1 away, here's Alex Gonzalez. Drove in the Braves' only run with a double down the left field line in the 6th inning.
We talked about the word patience with that Bobby Cox has used for young managers. Whoever takes over the Cubs next year, that's what they will have to practice.
Gonzalez with a base hit up the middle into center field, his 2nd hit of the game. Lee moves to 2nd, so the Braves threatening. Here in the top of the 8th inning, down by 4.
The difference with young managers now, Ken, is you have to be patient in an impatient world. Problem with the Cubs and their fans, or any major league team and their fans, is it's very, very difficult to use the word rebuild. The R word.
Especially after these fans watched the Cubs win the division in Lou Piniella's first 2 seasons.
Yeah, 97 wins 2 years ago. Talking to Tom Ricketts, the chairman, yesterday afternoon, and he said that's a word we will try not to use, to try to win while we are rebuilding, and that's tough to do.
Then what do you foresee as far as the Cubs are concerned?
Kenny, they don't feel that they are that far away from contending again. They're going to try to address their starting pitching this offseason with or without Carlos Zambrano. Maybe take a run at re-signing Ted Lilly. They're going to try to trade Kosuke Fukudome, and the reason for that is they want to add a left-handed slugger at either right field or first base. Tyler Colvin can play one or the other. So people we're talking about could be free agents like Adam Dunn, Lance Berkman. Not a bad group out there, and the Cubs feel that they can get back in contention pretty soon.
Smith for first base. Tyler Colvin's going to play some first base this week down in Washington. Played first base in college. Very athletic. He's been taking grounders.
I think with the same first baseman's mitt that he had in college 6 years ago. Took it out, shook the cobwebs off of it, put a little oil in it, said, "Let's go, baby."
See if this thing still works.
Yeah. Good fastball from Cashner. See Ross trying to make this a one-run game with that swing.
Cubs have been in a lot of them, as you just saw. They've lost 30 games by 1 run. Fastball missing away, full count.
If Andrew loses Ross, he is definitely out of the game. Lou Piniella will waste no time bringing Sean Marshall in. Mr. Martinez, the right-hander. Johnny Venters is the left-hander.
Pitch to Ross. Ball 4. Braves have loaded the bases here in the 8th. Here comes Lou Piniella. That will be all for Andrew Cashner.
And that means a double switch where the pitcher comes in the game and hits in Blake DeWitt's spot because Blake made the last out. Darwin Barney will be the second baseman in bat 9.
And Sean Marshall will make his 65th appearance, second in the National League to Pedro Feliciano of the Mets. Will face a pinch hitter, Melky Cabrera, batting for Rick Ankiel, who struck out 3 times. Lee on third, Gonzalez on second, Ross over at first. 2 walks in the inning. So Melky Cabrera with the bases loaded, and the Braves trailing by 4. First pitch from Marshall, in for strike one. The other pinch hitter, Brooks Conrad, has come out into the on-deck circle. Conrad with some huge late-inning home runs for the Braves this season. Fouled off, 0-2. While the Cubs have suffered the most one-run losses, the Braves, the second most, come from behind wins. Only the Yankees have more. Braves tied for the most walk-off wins in baseball. Can't do that today, of course. Cabrera down on strikes. Now 2 away.
Sean Marshall, like he has done so many times this year, coming in trouble. It's a little good morning, good afternoon, and good night to Cabrera. 2 curves and a high fastball.
So now with 2 away, another pinch hitter, Brooks Conrad. Conrad, Tim, with 7 home runs this season. 1 in the 7th inning, 6 in the 8th. Where are we now?
It's his inning right now. We'll see. Hitters talk about these counts as having a free swing. Conrad will look for a fastball inside, try to pop it out of the ballpark and tie the game up. If he doesn't get it, he takes it.
He has 2 grand slams this season, 2 of the 5 hit by the Braves.
The way to counter that is to throw a breaking ball, and that's what Marshall did.
On Conrad. 2 outs, top of the 8th inning, bases loaded. 5-1 Cubs. There's Lee, Gonzalez, and Ross. (3-1) from Marshall. Conrad hits it in the air, deep center field, and it's stuck in the ivy. 2-run score. Now coming home is Ross. It's a 1-run game. So Brooks Conrad with another huge late inning hit for Atlanta.
I'm surprised a little bit that Lou Piniella's not going out to argue this. If the ball's stuck in the ivy, it's a ground rule double. Now it's stuck in the ivy. Or is it? Is it in front of the ivy? Does it just sit in front of the ivy? If it's in the ivy, it's a ground rule double. But Ross actually stops at third base, resumes his route around the bases to score. He grabbed it awfully quickly. So evidently it just popped out of the ivy, and Bird had a clear shot at it. 3-1 slider hammered to center field, and the Braves are right back in this tilt. Brooks Conrad did it again in the 8th inning.
Cubs intentionally walking Fonte. Brooks Conrad with a 2-run double. An error charge to the shortstop Castro, allowing the 3rd run to score. Cubs had a 5-0 lead at one point. It's now 5-4.
Now the Cubs had you talked about quality starts earlier, Kenny. The Cubs had a great start out of Ryan Dempster yesterday, who went 8 good innings. Dustin Berg now back up. And now a great start by Gorzolani this afternoon. In the bullpen trying to hold it down.
Mason Hayward 2 for 4. There's Conrad on second. And Fonte takes his lead off first. Hayward, the 8th batter of the inning for Atlanta. And he said it glanced off his hand.
Well, you know why that's a good call in my view? By Dan Iasonia. He went on the fact that Jason Hayward immediately said it hit him, and it immediately shook his hand. But hitters can't act that quickly. You can't act like the ball hit you. If you start shaking your hand immediately when the ball's past the hitting area, then it hit him. And I think that's what Dan Iasonia is telling Lou Piniella, and to me that's a good argument. Common sense. He has third base umpire.
Yeah, went down to third.
Did
for
he
help.
swing? Did he swing? That's what he asked Mark Wegner. Mark said no, he did not. So if he didn't swing, the ball hit him, and it did. It hit him on the top of the right hand. So you can't act that quickly. Watch how quickly Hayward starts shaking his right hand. I mean, you got to go on that and then check with the third base umpire. Did he go around? No, he didn't. Take your base. And that loads him up again.
Bases loaded for Martin Prado. Double back in the 5th inning. So in this 8th, 3 walks, 1 intentional, a hit batsman. And the bases are loaded once again.
Just nicking the right hand of Jason Hayward. Good call by Iasonia.
You got to look at it in real time and saw
how quickly he had to make the decision
to react. Prado bounces it to the charging shortstop Castro. And the inning comes to an end, but the Braves score 3 and have pulled to within a run. By Verizon, the signal is yours. Wielded to transmit anything you want. Verizon. And by State Farm, with 17,000 agents, we've got the best lineup in the game. The Cubs lead is now 1 run. Brooks Conrad remains in the game at third base. Melky Cabrera remains in the game in center field. And the new pitcher, batting in the number 3 spot, is Johnny Venters, the 25-year-old left-hander, facing Coy Hill, with the Cubs leading by a run.
Johnny Venters features something that most left-handers do not throw, and that's a 95-mile-an-hour sinker. That expression, sinker slider, you've heard it through the years in baseball. That was a sinker.
There's Venters, 1 away.
Most of the time, that applies to right-handed pitchers, and I, for the life of me, do not know why there aren't more sinker slider left-handed pitchers.
We take you back to the last half inning. The Jason Hayward at bat. And Iasonia, home plate umpire, wearing a microphone for us today.
So, hold on. Did he go on the swing? No. And he's going to first base. It hit him in the hand, and I checked.
Literally the sounds of the game. Checking with Mark Wegner at third base. Did he go around? No, he didn't. Then take your base. And he went to me on the reaction of Jason Hayward.
Our thanks to Dan Iasonia for wearing a microphone today. Darwin Barney batting for the first time. 24-year-old, 4th-round pick back in 2007 out of Oregon State. Back-to-back College World Series titles for Barney. 2006, 2007, called up by the Cubs 9 days ago.
One of the great baseball names.
Yes.
Huh? Darwin Barney. Wonderful.
He's played both shortstop and second base. Who better to learn from than Ryan Sandberg?
Right.
His AAA manager. Darwin Barney strikes out, 2 away. And the Cubs' 8th. Time now for the Just for Men Keep Your Edge spotlight. How about Cubs starter Tom Gorzelani? Strikes out 9 Braves, 1 shy of his season and career high. Just as Tom Gorzelani helped give the Cubs the edge, you too can keep your edge with Just for Men mustache and beard. Gorzelani looking for his first win since July 24th. He's 6-7 this season, a career record at 500. 35 wins, 35 losses. So with 2 away, here's Fukudome. Carlos Marmol, who walked 3 in the 9th, allowed the 3-run triple to Rick Ankiel yesterday up in the Cubs pen. Braves will have the middle of the order due up. Guess who leads off? Derek Lee.
Venters trying to keep it an important at bat. Bobby Cox loves this left-hander, and you've got to love it. Get around the batting cage and listen to hitters talk about certain pitchers, and they talk about this guy in frightful terms. He is nasty, and in pitcher talk, that's a compliment.
Fourth pitcher of the game for the Braves, the 1-2. And Fukudome down on strikes. Venters retires the Cubs in order. Marmol will face Diaz and Gonzalez. It's a 1-run game. This season's Atlanta Braves, 22 wins, their last at bat, most in the major leagues. One of the main reasons why the Braves occupy first place, Tim, in the National League East.
Yeah, and the 22nd time they did it was yesterday afternoon against Carlos Marmol, who's in there now.
Facing Derek Lee, who struck out against Marmol in the 9th inning yesterday.
3 straight fastballs from Marmol. Starts him off with a slider this afternoon.
Lee 0 for 7 as a Brave, walked and scored his last time up in the 8th inning. Cubs led 5-0. Braves with a run in the 6th, 3 in the 8th.
Usually, if you score against Marmol, very few hits are involved, but a walk will be mixed in there somewhere. Yesterday in 1 inning, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 1 hit, 3 runs by the Braves.
High and tight. Lee heading to first. Lou Piniella has seen this movie before.
Very recently, less than 24 hours ago.
So the tying run on at first base. As Eric Hinsky steps in to pinch hit for Matt Diaz. Hinsky, a good luck charm of sorts. He has been to the World Series, Tim, each of the last 3 Octobers. Wearing a different uniform all 3 years.
3 different teams.
Hinsky pops this one into left center. Under it is Marlon Byrd. One away.
I think the Atlanta Braves I think the best strategy would be to allow Marmol to continue to be wild. I mean, he walks Derek Lee on 4 straight pitches, and I think that pitch was up and out of the strike zone. And what does Hinsky do? Swing at the first pitch. So that's a gift out by the Braves to the Cubs.
Nice block by Hill with Alex Gonzalez at the plate. Another pinch hitter, Brian McCann, has come out into the on-deck circle, the last position player available for Bobby Cox. Marmol, 103 strikeouts, which leads all Major League relief pitchers. As we've been talking about, he struck out 3 in the 9th yesterday, but also walked 3 and allowed a 3-run triple off the bat of Rick Ankiel. He walked Lee on 4 pitches. Hinsky flied out on the first pitch he saw. And now 2-0 count to Gonzalez. Strike 2-1.
Gonzalez questioning this pitch from Marmol, but it appeared to be a strike. Alex trying to straighten his legs as much as he could to get that pitch called below the knees.
Called off to the right side, 2-2. Great job by our entire crew today here in Chicago. Our producer Pete Macheska, director Bill Webb, associate director Aaron Stoikoff, broadcast associate Eric Mandia, statisticians Marty Aronoff and Wayne Fiddleman, technical producer Craig Marlowe, technical director Scott Daly. The 2-2 from Marmol. Gonzalez pops it foul. Back behind the Cubs dugout. The pregame show produced by Don Bowie. Senior videotape producer Janice Casaza. The coordinating studio producer of Fox Sports is Scott Ackerston. The senior vice president of production is Jack Simmons. Cubs have been involved in the most one-run games this season. 44 coming into play today. They've lost 30 of those 44. They lead this game by a run, looking to end an 8-game losing streak here at Wrigley. Their last win at home back on August 4th against the Brewers. 2-2 to Gonzalez, and Marmol strikes him out for out number 2.
This slider really goes down from Marmol to get Gonzalez.
So now the Braves down to their final out, as Brian McCann steps in to pinch hit. He is 0 for 1 lifetime against Marmol.
Braves won it with 2 outs and the bases loaded on the triple by Ankiel yesterday. The outfield playing deeper than they would normally do. They're in a no doubles defense.
Eric Lee, the runner on first with 2 outs, top of the 9th inning. Braves now down to their final strike.
That was a wicked slider right there. Yesterday's sliders did not go down like that.
No. 41,000 on their feet here in Chicago, as McCann strikes out to end the ball game. Marmol and the Cubs win it 5-4. So the Braves lead is now 2 over the Phillies in the National League East. Cubs end a 5-game losing streak, their first win of their last 9 here at Wrigley. 13 strikeouts for Cubs pitchers today. Cubs took a 5-0 lead over the first 3 innings and just hang on. We'll return to Chicago for more post-game coverage right after these messages.